from West Central Illinois Culligan is store manager Mike Colvin. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Vanessa. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic.
How are things at the store here locally in Monmouth?
They're moving. They're busy. We're full steam ahead, and the word has gotten out that we have picked up Culligan out of Macomb, Illinois, so things have been on the rise. Plenty of stuff to do. The hopper's completely full, but not too full to where we can't fit anybody else in. So things are moving in the right direction, and it's, like I said, full steam ahead.
Good. And Mike, for those that may know you or may not know you, tell people a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, okay. So I actually started with Doug McClintock when he had the business in 2012. So got a little over 10 years on the plate now. So community has been there for me. I've been pretty much here my whole life. So this is one business that I've actually learned and tailored myself custom to, because water is completely different for everybody. So it's a learning curve at the same time, but something that you got in the belt that's literally the only thing that I know how to do very well. So that's what makes you feel good about doing something for somebody else, because you know it's the right thing to do and they need it. It's not a want.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Mike, so West Central Illinois Culligan, that was what, during the pandemic that purchase was made?
Technically, the purchase was actually made January of 22 is when the sale was finalized. I know there were talks, through the years of when it was going to happen, but ultimately, Zach and Randy down in Advance did a fantastic job with the transition. Each transition over from the last three owners I've been dealt with has just been phenomenal. So
good,
yeah.
Good. And here we are now with West Central Illinois Culligan. You're able to have a location right here on Broadway.
Yeah, that was a blessing that literally fell on our lap, and we needed a building pretty much tailored to our needs. Every building that we've had was either too small, we were looking at it was way too big, we were housed with another company. So the fact that we can have this specifically for Culligan, it's a blessing. Good.
How about the Macomb location for our audience down in Roseville and Macomb? Where's it at?
So technically it is off Jackson. It's kind of over by Jackson and Carroll off the one-way, but it is temporary closed. They're doing a remodel right now. So we're actually running the Macomb facility right out of Monmouth down on Broadway. So if you call the number, everyone would still go there. But walk-ins, like I said, are temporary closed. I think it's going to be at least until fall time. But then, essentially we might even just still run it out of the building itself here. That's kind of a thing as we roll it out. So,
and you're probably talking about like administratively.
So generally, Macomb has a small group, two to four people. Nothing closer to 6 to 10 like a normal dealership would.
Okay.
So they are definitely still going to have a receptionist down there.
Great.
And someone that could do like emergency or service work. So
okay, good. So how big now is this West Central Illinois Culligan? Because there's other locations.
Yeah. So how the franchise works is dealerships only are allotted so many miles before they have to give it over to another dealer. We actually cover Henderson, Warren, Mercer, and Knox County. So we have a pretty much almost a 50-mile radius from dead center Monmouth. And then, of course, we have neighboring dealers, Macomb, Burlington, Davenport, who are actually all owned by the same group. So then, of course, you start going out east. There's one in Peoria, Bloomington. You can't go too far without not running into one.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with store manager Mike Colvin with West Central Illinois Culligan. And it's not just water delivery here. We're talking about some very key products that can improve your hair, skin, your pets, what they're drinking. Talk about this reverse osmosis.
Yeah, so Culligan, so I don't know if you've noticed, but back in the day, it used to always just say Culligan. And the bread and butter of our business was water softeners, salt delivery, something to do with treating the water in the house. But we've essentially geared this toward now the newer age groups are so important and so learning about what is so bad, what is so good. Well, the reverse osmosis is the reason why we put that water into our name. So we have to emphasize that Culligan, our new bread and butter, is actually water. I would tell you right now, I'd rather have you get a reverse osmosis drinking system that you have good water quality coming in and you shower in sulfur water, because what's going into the body is way more important. The fact that the reverse osmosis is tailor-made depending on what contaminants you have. If you're sensitive to mineral demineralization, if you're sensitive to anything that the doctor tells you that you can't have, Culligan Solution is technically the only supplier in the world that can customly make a filter for your specific needs, which is, honestly incredible and outstanding.
I did not know that. Customly make a filter. Okay, so how does it work? So you have someone come out to the house.
Yep.
And they do a test that tells you what's in your water.
Yes. So if you were to call, I would come out to the house, perform what's called an in-home analysis, which is roughly 9 to 12 tests to tell you exactly how hard the water is. You got any chlorine in it? I'd actually first ask you what your problem is, because you called us for a reason, so we have to address that first. Then go ahead and fill you in on exactly why the water's doing this, why you're feeling like this, why the cat's acting like this. Then we figure out if we have to go in depth. Then we have analytical labs that start getting the breakdown. Okay, well, Mike's been out here twice and the problem still isn't figured out. Well, now we need to start peeling back, layers. So that's one thing is Culligan has its own specific EPA certified lab. So if we can't figure it out to where we're going to get it done in 2 hours or 4 hours, our lab will.
What do you see the most? And it really matters where you're located.
It is location.
The soil makes a difference.
Soil, a lot of the municipal supplies are what really is the tricky thing. So obviously being here in Monmouth, I don't need to explain, if you live here, how, let's say, great the water is. They do a great job. I mean, they really do. But the fact that you have to have 3 pieces of equipment, I always recommend if I come into the house, I think is a little high for the municipal side. But Monmouth area is just really high on chlorine. The total dissolved solids, which is actually a measure of minerals and makeup of the water, is actually above the EPA's secondary contaminant level. So not anything to scare anyone, but if the EPA says you should find an alternative drinking solution at a certain stage, and Monmouth and other communities are higher than that, which there's no regulation to, we go exactly by what they say. So.
Okay. And we've known that there's been a mineral-rich soil here. That's why a lot of our crops are so good.
Exactly. And that's the trade-off is, are we supposed to be doing this? We get that it's supposed to be on the fields. I said, well, yes, and that's why we do the analysis to let you know, is it safe to drink or not? And those are very, very keen words that you have to say in the right way. Otherwise, people start freaking out.
And chlorine, what impact can chlorine have?
So now what the city is doing is it's called chloramines, which is a chlorine and ammonia mix. So over time, that actually can start to cause liver damage. And since there is no set base on where that should be regulated, it's actually cheaper and easier on appliances, even in the pipes, if they do add the ammonia mix in there. So then technically you wouldn't be drinking anything harmful, because the key is, I always tell people, as long as it's potable water and safe to drink, that's fine. It's just like a driver's license. They consider water treatment a luxury, not a necessity. But you know how easy it is to get around with a driver's license. So it's the trade-off of depending on each contaminant where it is, and if someone has an idea or any question of what it is, we have a specific contaminant book with 6-7 pages of where it came from, how to start, how do you get rid of it, what's the side effects, long-term effects.
Sure. And a lot of people do this because of their pets.
I'd say half, for sure.
And do pets know the difference?
As soon as you give them Culligan, yes. Because let's make coffee right now with Monmouth water compared to Culligan. Then give the pet Monmouth water to Culligan and see if the cat drinks the Monmouth water.
Okay. And so we get the contaminants, we get the analysis of what's in the water, and it's really about taste too, isn't it?
It is. And so when you drink water, you shouldn't feel like it's heavy, or when you drink a glass of water and you're like, oh, that feels so good, I filled right up. You shouldn't get full when you drink water. You should feel replenished, like you'd want more. Not that you're dehydrated, but the fact of if you drink a glass of water and you feel full, chances are it's filled with some type of a contaminant. 90% of the time, the TDS is so high, that's what the heavy metals are sticking into. That's what your body thinks that it's full, when really you've just given a bunch of metals or minerals, depending on what the quality is coming in.
Okay. This is all new to me.
When we go into depth like this, people are like, yeah, I didn't know any of that stuff.
No.
And that's great because, it's...
Because we have grown up in a country where we are so fortunate that we can just turn on the tap and have always been able to drink water. So we've just been so fortunate.
Yeah, and it's little things that you overlook, and a little bit of water treatment goes a long way.
Sure.
And, you being one is a connoisseur of it. It's fantastic, but it's difficult to switch back or believe in something you never had until you had it, and water is definitely a number one priority.
And so then how do you do it? How do you install a reverse osmosis?
So generally, at the house, when we do the site survey, I'd test the water, kind of show you where we're at. Then we'd actually take a look and see what the installation process would like. For instance, a lot of the times we try to put all the Culligan equipment down into a location where it's convenient for us and not in your way. So, like for instance, at your house in the basement, that's fantastic for us. We can go down, change the filters. We run lines to pretty much anywhere that could be hooked up: fridge, faucet at the sink, an ice maker. Generally, anything that you're going to be putting into your body, we have to specifically have lines for that, because you got to remember, over time, reverse osmosis water is a little bit corrosive. That's why it has to have special filters, special lines, because if it is hooked up to any type of plumbing, it will start to corrode, which that's why some of Monmouth water gets a little corrosive, because it does have a little bit of RO water in it.
Okay. And then what about this the water softener? What is all that about?
Yeah, so the water softener itself, I mean, like I said, that's our bread and butter, but a good way to see it is every time you look at something that's had water ran through it, a faucet, shower glass, sink, anything, dishwasher, you see those white spots that are built up there. So that's just natural rock and water. Everywhere you go, you're going to have that. And then back to the mineral talk we'd had. So when those go through aquifers and then run down over rock, I mean, they do pick up soil, they do pick up rock, they pick up anything that is technically considered hard water. So then the process is the water goes over the water softener bed. It's a 1-for-1 ion exchange process, basic science, converts it to sodium, and then that's what actually goes out to the faucets itself. So you're essentially trading that white scale off for a slimed, real crisp, clean-looking water, which is essentially has nothing in it. That's why that is considered soft.
Okay. We're talking with Mike Colvin. He's the store manager of West Central Illinois Culligan, who also just recently purchased the Macomb location. How many members on your team here with Monmouth?
It's a good question. So we have 5 with us, and then Macomb itself, we have 3 there. We actually just hired a new secretary for down there. So all in all, we're anywhere from about 8 to 10 on average between both stores here in Monmouth. But and we do have floaters too. Like I say, we do own with Burlington. So any help that's needed, we're pretty much there.
Okay. Well, very good information. I appreciate you coming in and telling us about it.
Yeah, no problem.
Anything else you want people to know?
I'd say this. If you have any problems, any questions, whatever, call. The easiest way is for me to come out and explain it to you. I can do this a million times, and someone's still going to go, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's easier just to lay it out. There it is. And I literally have resources I can give people online, pamphlets where they can self-educate themselves, kind of tee themselves up for victory.
Okay. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thanks, Vanessa. Appreciate it.
Mike Colvin with us, store manager, West Central Illinois Culligan, here on 1330 WRAM.